Hey y'all, remember when everyone and their mom hated the CalArts art style? Yeah, I do. So let's talk about the extremely hated art styles in the art community and why do people hate it so much. Back in the 2010s, basically every cartoon had the same art style. Steven Universe, The Amazing World of Gumball, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, and Gravity Falls all had the same art style, with there being some teeny tiny differences. It was coined the CalArts style because the guy who created it learned it from the art style CalArts. Just for some basic backstory. To be honest, I didn't hate the art style, especially growing up. I always found the art style, okay. It wasn't awful, it wasn't, the best art style I've ever seen, but, I'm not a picky person with art, I'm gonna be honest. Some people may not like it because it's not very different from each other. For example, when someone has a cartoony art style, it can be extremely fast and different to someone else who also has a cartoony art style. Not every cartoon looks the same, especially in different eras. For example, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy and Scooby-Doo are both children's cartoons, but have extremely different art styles. But I know someone would say, but both of them are from different eras. Well, how about the 2000s cartoon of Scooby-Doo compared to Billy and Mandy, which is also a 2000s cartoon? There's an obvious difference in art styles. So it's not just, it being a 90s show and it being a 2000s show. It's just cartoons are vastly different. So it may be categorized as the same art style or would be considered a cartoony art style, both of them, but they have totally different, aspects to it that make it unique. And I feel like people need to give the animators more slack for this art style because yes, it may be boring with the easy shapes and patterns, but animation's hard, man, and also extremely expensive. And this is coming from an animator themselves. But now that we got the whole CalArts art style, let's go to the topic you probably wanted me to talk about, and that's the jelly art style, which is extremely hated on TikTok. And I don't spend a lot of time on TikTok, believe it or not, but I have seen a lot of people talk about the hatred of the jelly art style, and I feel like I want to talk about it. I personally do not find it ugly. I don't. I think it is quite beautiful and way more better than me in realism terms, because it's kind of hyper realistic, but also keeps some cartoony aspects to it. Considering it calling the jelly art style with it being realistic and feeling it kind of has that wet texture to it, and that's also the same reason why people do not like it, is because of the wet texture. Some people have also criticized it before, it's just ooh, pretty girl, and there's not a lot you can really do with that art style, because if I told them to draw a dog in the jelly art style, the artist who uses that art style wouldn't be able to capture it. But if I got a Scooby-Doo animator to draw a dog, they would absolutely be able to capture the look without it being weird or without them having to sacrifice some part of their style to make it. Because the people who create jelly art would have to sacrifice one thing to make a dog. And that would probably make their work wonky or not as consistent with their other works. Which I'm gonna be honest, consistency if you're gonna be an artist, because I'm gonna be honest, I've had many art styles over the 13 years of being an artist. And yes, drawing the same thing over and over again and over again can be good, but it also can be bad because that'll be the only thing you'll know how to draw. Trust me, as someone who's only drawn humans for a majority of their life, I don't really know how to draw animals, and that kind of really stuns me on how I draw animals and other creatures. So yeah, it can be a good but also bad thing. Another thing is that you don't really know the artist and why they're doing art and if they take art seriously. Because the thing is that the person who's drawing in that jelly art style, who also just only draws pretty girls, could just be doing it as a hobby and is not really thinking of doing art as a career. And honestly, you cannot blame them, because if they're not going to take it seriously, then don't expect them to take it seriously. That's like expecting the person who plays tennis, who only does it for fun, and you try to make them have the same mindset as a professional. It's probably not going to be fun for that person anymore, and it's just not going to be something they probably want to do anymore. Just allow hobbyists to do whatever with their art style, even if it may be quote unquote boring or whatever. I honestly do not care. Also, please don't harass people because they have an art style you don't necessarily like. There's a thing called scrolling away. Like, it's just really weird. And guys, there's much more things to worry about. Like, this is such, like, you know, my earrings are in the ocean kind of problem. And trust me, it's not the end of the world. I'm going to say this, which most people are probably not going to like, but art is subjective. Art isn't objectively good or bad. It's up to the eye of the beholder. For example, here's this painting someone made. Is it conventionally good to look at? No, but it has meaning to it, and I call that art. Even an aimless sketch is art because it has a purpose. The sketch is to warm you up, and that's the purpose. Anything can be art as long as it has meaning to it, or even if it's a sketch warming you up, or you put hard work into it and it turns out ugly. Not you typing some words into the art generator. Now that is not art because you're being lazy and you're not putting any hard work into it. Like, oh, congrats, you can write simple words. Like, dude, a 5-year-old can do that too. I feel like the hatred of art styles and people throwing fits over it is a symptom of a bigger problem, and that is overconsumption just in general, but also just overconsumption of art where basically people are told to consume and consume and consume and consume art, and artists have to make and make and make and make art. To be honest, bro, I kind of like when I just spend many hours on a piece without any, like, you know, scared or nervousness over people are gonna judge it or not. And that's why I can't really take people seriously when people say that someone else's art's ugly or bad, because that's like saying Sabrina Carpenter is a bad singer, which she isn't. She's a good singer, but you may not like her music. But does that make her a bad singer? No, it's just not your taste. Anyway, that's my TED Talk. Subscribe and like the video, and comment if you have any other opinions. Goodbye.